Hi, I'm Gary Ruggles. I'm an instructor in the VCD program at Century College. I teach 3D animation and some web design. The way that I got started with the interest in the stuff that I do, which primarily is artwork. I'm a designer. I have a master's degree in fine art, painting and drawing. I originally actually thought that I was going to be teaching fine art at a four-year school, but I ended up in this program here at in the VCD program. And I was hired specifically to do the interactive media track, which has to do mostly with web design. The animation stuff came after that because it makes a little bit of experience with animation before I started teaching here as well. And it's blossomed into a full track now that is really pretty exciting. Everything for me is about design, about creativity. I'm a visual person. Ever since I was a child, I always wanted to draw and paint just on my own. My parents didn't get me. A lot of people probably feel that way sometimes. But really, that's where it came from originally. One of the most fun parts for me also about teaching 3D animation is that there's storyboards and concept art involved, and I teach a concept drawing and storyboarding class. It gives me an opportunity to keep my drawing skills up, and so the process of doing 3D animation starts with just like anything that we do in this field, starts with a message. Then it goes into designing and conceiving of whatever it is you're going to create. The process in 3D animation specifically, after you do some concept art to try to figure out what your character is going to look like, what your environment is going to look like, and how you can then communicate that visually to somebody else so that you don't have to describe it in words. And that's what the concept art is about. And then storyboards is all about the animation. Storyboards are sequential drawing. It's like doing a comic book. Still telling a story just like a comic book would be, except that you're going to be creating something from that sequential drawing, which is the storyboards, to create the 3D animation. Character animation, you have to think about camera angles. You have to consider, lighting is super important, so you have to be able to draw that way to be able to explain lighting and explain camera angles and understand why you would shoot, animate something with the virtual camera and 3D animation that you use is not that different than video. You have to decide, okay, why would you use a certain camera angle over another one, to create different, moods and emotion and so forth. The fun thing about it is that you're really making stuff. I mean, you're not just not just creating. You're creating websites. You're making stuff when you do that stuff. But when you're doing animation, you're actually building something. You're modeling something. It's like sculpting in clay. Only you're using vertices and edges and polygons and stuff like that. And it's a little bit more complex in that regard. But it's every bit as creative as doing the sculpture, by hand.
How much of an impact do you think you make on your students?
Nah, none. All right, that's going to be a fun answer. I believe that I make a considerable impact on my students because I love what I do. And I believe and I hope that comes across. I mean, I talk about, I love my job. It's the coolest job there is right now, other than actually just being a painter. When I retire, I'm going to retire and I'm going to take all the energy that I'm using right now and enjoying right now as a teacher and put it all into my fine art. But right now, I'm really, it's all about the students. It's all about student success. It's all about them having a fulfilling job when they're done here. And that's really rewarding for a teacher. A lot of teachers don't know what's going to happen to their students when they teach them some stuff, maybe on a literature class or something like that. It's just a class to students maybe, but the students that I have are students that are committed because they're here to actually learn how to be prepared to be a professional out there in an industry that's really competitive. And so it's really rewarding. It's a lot of fun. And I'm a teacher that's pretty high energy. I like to have a lot of fun with my students and everything. So it's just a really good gig. It's really awesome. Students that are planning to go into any of the areas of visual communications, probably the most important thing is that you need to understand that unlike a lot of other types of jobs, you don't get jobs by answering ads in papers, in newspaper or whatever, or anything even remotely like that. The way that you get jobs in this industry is by networking. And you know, everybody's probably heard this saying that it's who you know that gets you the job. Well, that's nonsense. It's not who you know that gets you the job. Who you know gets you an opportunity. What you know in your portfolio gets you the job, okay? And your attitude. Attitude is everything when it comes to working with other people and stuff. So it's super important that your attitude is there and you're enthusiastic. When you have an opportunity to do some informational interviews or to you know, just to have some sort of an opportunity to talk to somebody in industry, your enthusiasm and your attitude about things will impress people as much as anything else, and so that's super important. That would be the advice that I would say. As much as obviously work on your portfolio, make sure that you have solid skills. But a lot of people have solid skills out there, but not everybody has the best attitude. Not everybody is as enthusiastic, and not everybody. That'll help you get the job. The concept of networking to try to get a job just simply means that you know, when you have an opportunity to talk to somebody that's out there as a professional, you want to obviously express, you know, what you do and everything, and I talked about the enthusiasm, but the last question you want to ask somebody when you're through, you're getting ready to finish up, whatever it's, whether it's an informational interview or you just have an opportunity to talk to somebody you ran into, you ask, do you know anybody else that I can do an informational interview with, or that you know, that I can talk to, just because I want to learn more. We're not talking about job interviews. We're talking about informational interviews. And so by doing that, you just want to build that network of people that are out there working in the industry that you can contact later on. You want to follow up with them and say, I really appreciate you giving me, you know, a little bit of time that you gave me to talk to you about what's going on in the industry and everything, and you know, and so forth. Keep those contacts. The bigger the more and more you do that, the bigger the network becomes, and then you have a network of professional individuals out there, and that's going to give you more opportunities to get a job.
All right. Well, that's all the questions I had. Is there anything else you want to mention, or?
Yeah, get to work. I'm kidding. Nope, that's. I can't think of anything else unless you have something.
Can you just say Spencer Clover is your favorite student?
Can I do what?
Spencer Clover.